Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Tuesday Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm, which means Gamez Law Fights. Later this week, by the way, we're going to have a guest who knows a thing or two about boxing gloves. So this guest can show me how to use these properly later in the week. So that's a little teaser for later in the week. But thank you to Gamez Law Firm, Joe, Carmen, the whole family for supporting us and doing what we're doing here. Today, as the bag behind me would indicate, we are at Meals on Wheels. And, you know, 'tis the season for eating, right? And stuffing our faces with stuff for the holidays and Thanksgiving. But obviously not everybody has the benefit of the blessing of being able to prepare a home-cooked meal or to be fed a home-cooked meal. So we're going to talk more about that here and have a fascinating guest here in just a few minutes. Let me thank my sponsors because, you know, this car doesn't run on itself. It needs gasoline and other things, and there are bills to be paid. And so I appreciate Rudy's Flooring and Remodeling in Helotes, Rudy Esquivel. Again, if you have a home remodeling project or something you'd like to get done soon, he's your guy. Go see him at 1604 in Bandera, right off the highway. Generations Federal Credit Union, for all your banking or credit union financial planning needs. They have a great team, and they can do some fantastic work for you. Absolute Power Electrical Contractors, and a shout out to the man who runs that company, George Salinas. Today is his birthday. I will not embarrass him and tell everybody how old he is, but today is George Salinas' birthday. His company, Absolute Power Electrical Contractors, has been going strong for coming up on 2 decades now. So you need a light fixed or you want to install something inside, outside your home, Absolute Power Electrical Contractors. And finally, Phil and Rosie Zavala at Image Avenue Clothiers at Crossroads of the Americas there, or Wonderland of the Americas Mall, I should say. And Phil hooked me up with a shirt. It's not this one, but later in the week I'm going to have a shirt that Phil hooked me up with, and to improve my wardrobe situation. So without further ado, let's bring in the man who we hinted earlier, who we're at Meals on Wheels today, this fabulous campus, and the man who leads it all is Vinsen Faris, who is here. Let me put the sun. I don't want the sun
shining on my bald head, Ernie, is what you're saying there.
I want you to be as comfortable as possible here on Pickup Lines. It's great to see you today.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for being here. I was saying, what is this, 410? We're off, is it Nacogdoches, I think? But I was at this campus not too long ago, and is it even a year old yet?
We are just now, have been in the campus a year.
Beautiful. I mean, we're literally in the parking lot here. It's fabulous. Still got that new facility smell.
Oh, it is.
Right?
I love the way you referred to it as the campus, because we call it the Campus of Grace, but it's 6.5 acres.
Yeah.
And not only do we have a big building where all the magic happens back there in the kitchen,
right.
We have almost an acre under roof, but it's a beautiful, beautiful area with trees. Our Thanksgiving Day event's coming up,
yeah.
So volunteers can drive through.
I love it.
We used to do that at our former place on 410 and Babcock. We backed them up on 410 some Thanksgivings, which was not good, but not the case here.
We're under one of these trees right now, I believe. But no, my old stomping grounds was there at the TV station at 410 and Babcock, so
sure.
We were practically neighbors back then. And I remember you guys did so much work, amazing stuff year-round. But I don't think at the time I realized how great the need was to upgrade and to have a bigger facility.
Our little facility there was an old Wyatt's cafeteria that was built in 1974.
I remember Wyatt's.
It was worn out when the organization bought it in 94. It served us well. We had no additional power that we could plug even a computer in, much less some kitchen equipment. It was time to go. We were limited by what we could produce.
And I had read you couldn't even, you couldn't cook raw chicken, or there were certain things you couldn't even do, like basic cooking things that are needed to prepare meals.
Yes, and in order to handle the food safely and storage and prep and whatnot. So here about 6 weeks ago, we cooked our first raw chicken in over 30 years. It was a celebration day here at Meals on Wheels.
That is remarkable, and obviously you serve so many people. And before you came in the car, I was just hinting about how, this time of year when so many of us are thinking about what are we eating for Thanksgiving, and I think we probably take some of that for granted. All those meals that mom and grandma or dad and grandpa make. But the reality is there are so many people that are not afforded that, which is where you guys come in. So can you give us a sense of the numbers in Bexar County? And I know you serve other areas too, but just to give people a sense of how critical the need is for a Meals on Wheels.
Right. On a daily basis, we are serving right at 4,000 people a day across Bexar County.
As I drove up, there were literally people packing cars, loading cars and trucks.
Right.
Yeah.
And the folks that we serve are behind closed doors, so they're not readily seen. But these are guys that can't get out of their house to go pick up food at the grocery. They can't stand long enough to prepare a meal. And we know we are serving some of the neediest of the needy out there, but there's so many more that we don't know about because they are behind those closed doors out there.
Yeah, and Meals on Wheels, I know your fabulous marketing public relations team is watching, and they just put up a great point. If you have a question or comment, you can drop it right here on this broadcast, and I'll do my best to catch it. And thank you to those of you who are sharing this as well, because the idea, if ever there was a cause or a case where we would want to spread this out to as many people, I think the message is so important. So please share the video. And what are we, 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving, roughly? If there are families that are still in need for meals this time of year, how can they contact you, and is that even possible right now?
Well, the Jimenez Dinner, of course, serves so many down on Thanksgiving Day down at the Convention Center. The people that we will be serving on Thanksgiving Day are the clients who are currently receiving Meals on Wheels. Should there be someone out there who is in need of ongoing home-delivered meals, they should please call us, and it's possible to get them on service.
Very good. Okay. You've devoted much of your life or career to, is it adult services or things like Meals on Wheels? Meals on Wheels, helping this type of clientele, if you will.
Right. I have been in aging services, soon to start my 36th year.
Wow.
And, I had hair. It was dark. I didn't have to worry about the sun shining through the beautiful sunroof you have here. But I had a career in food service and hospitality.
Okay.
And I was looking for a change, and I accidentally stumbled into this, and it was the change of a lifetime. Yeah. And I have, knowing that you can help someone make a difference on a daily basis, it's touched me in ways that I didn't know were impossible to touch.
Someone mentioned to me, was it your mother who once received, or your own family received services for Meals on Wheels?
Yes. My mother lived in another community. She had been by herself for a number of years since my dad had passed away. She took a tumble. She went back through rehab, assisted living, got home. Then we got our own Meals on Wheels, and so it was nice knowing that there were people in another community taking care of her.
Right. Okay, so obviously the meals don't serve themselves or deliver themselves, and so there's always a call for volunteers, and it can be as simple as driving the meals or making phone calls. There are a million different ways people can help.
Right. We have been so blessed for the past 45 years to have volunteers help us out. Today, here in San Antonio, we have more individual volunteers delivering meals than any time in our entire history.
Wow.
However, during the pandemic, where we had so many corporate volunteer teams helping out, and the corporate campuses and offices, we all went home.
Yeah.
Well, the corporate groups have not come back yet because life has changed during these years of the pandemic. And so, yes, we need more volunteers. We need a lot of volunteers. And if you can volunteer once in a blue moon, once a month, once a week, we can put you to work.
Do you have an age limit in terms of could students come help, or a lot of times they need service hours or things like that?
They can come out. We ask an 18-year-old out there driving, but younger people can go along. We got a lot of stay-at-home moms, and we have some homeschoolers, and so all ages are out there, and people just love to see them. It's great.
So okay, here's a question we have. Is it Jose Lerma is saying, how can I help if I don't have time to volunteer?
There are so many things they can do. and don't have time. I guess the biggest thing they can do is write one of those generous checks
Right.
to help pay for this food that we are serving.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. One of the easiest things, though, is tell people about Meals on Wheels.
Word of mouth.
Say, hey, do you know what this organization does? Do you know how many people they reach out to in all the individual neighborhoods? And just telling people about us helps more than an individual would realize.
Doesn't cost a penny to do that, or get on your social media. Again, right now, obviously, Meals on Wheels is watching this, and they have a Facebook page, and they're on the different platforms, and so that's one way you can do that. Can you tell me about the process? Somebody's watching this. You mentioned earlier that they can sign up for services. What is that process like? How long does it take to make an inquiry and then ultimately potentially get services?
Unfortunately, it takes way too long, just because in this day and age of everything needing to be immediately,
Right.
we want it now.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago.
If someone is in a situation where they do need services immediately, we can get someone started within the next day if necessary. Most often, it's going to take someone longer than a couple of weeks to get on. We have to do, in part because we have such a call volume coming in,
Right.
we have to we do a little triage to see how immediate the need is. Is there
Yeah.
still someone able to take care of them, or are they by themselves? But then we come out, we ask nosy questions, we look around, But this is not any means tested. We just want to get to
Yeah.
know who these folks are and confirm that this is the best service for them, or is there something else in the community that can help?
I mean, I hate to say this, but do you have cases where people sometimes try to take advantage of the situation, or they maybe get a little too greedy, and that's why you have to do your due diligence?
It does happen on occasion, and we
Yeah.
we have to try to steer them in some other area there.
Listen, when I was at the TV station, and it just happened a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, it never fails. Every time this year, November, December, I will get messages on Facebook, and there will be people who are asking me to direct them to places. Like I'm in a homeless situation, or my whatever, lost my job. And in other words, they're desperate for help, and it's the holidays. I mean, when somebody comes to you with something like that, what advice do you give them?
We always try to match people up with what they have to offer, with what the needs are in the community. And Meals on Wheels is just one small piece of the answer here. There are so many good organizations, whether individual nonprofits or some of the faith-based groups around town. And there's a place for everyone to make our community better.
Yeah. So 3.5 decades in, you mentioned why do you keep doing this? What is it that keeps bringing you back every year?
I just love it. I absolutely love it. If you were out delivering meals today,
Right.
There are over 20 people that we might run into one of those who are over the age of 100.
100?
And
Goodness.
when you have someone that's 103 or 104 still living in their own home
Right.
by themselves, and we are helping them to do that. It's in a safe environment that's good for them, good for their family. How can you not just grin from ear to ear, Ernie? I mean, that is cool.
I would want to just sit. I would want to give them the meal, and I would want to just sit down for a few minutes and pick their brain.
Oh,
just talk.
It is. You have to because they are some interesting individuals, and they all have a lot to share.
So volunteers can do that, because it's not. And we're seeing the signature blue bag. It's not as simple as just, here's the meal, thank you, have a nice day. I mean, can volunteers engage with the clients and hang out for a little bit?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We if they have 10 or so meals to deliver, we say, well, we need to keep it on time.
We gotta.
But you can always go back. And that's how one of the things that volunteers find so rewarding is they do develop these individual relationships with these folks.
Right.
And they become just extended family.
Right. So just looking around the campus and everything, I keep calling it a campus.
It is.
Campus, okay.
Campus of Grace. We're good.
So Grace, you mentioned that. So Grace Place is a component of Meals on Wheels here. And people who've never been here may not realize what that's all about.
Yes. It is our Alzheimer's center, and these are folks that do have challenges with dementia, and it's a place for them to come and spend the day with us. And it's loaded with activities, and the caregiver, which so often the dementia and Alzheimer's take so much out of the caregivers. This gives them a great respite. They can continue to work. They can work in the yard. They can go play around the golf if they're so inclined, and gives them a break. But their loved one is well taken care of. We're meeting them where they are in their journey with this dreadful disease. But it's pretty cool place. These are good people that are have a challenge in front of them.
Now, to say the least. I just think that's so amazing because you think Meals on Wheels and you don't immediately think of Alzheimer's, but it's just an amazing service. Were you able to do that at the old building?
We did. At one time, we had 3 Grace places in the community.
Okay.
We had the original downtown at Grace Lutheran.
Okay.
We had closed it, so we were down to 2, one way up on North Nacogdoches and there on 410. During the pandemic, though, we did have to close. This is a social model, so there's a lot of close proximity, as well as being dementia challenged sometimes with a mask on. It's hard to deal with.
We are visiting with Vinsen Faris, the CEO of Meals on Wheels San Antonio, just getting to know a little bit more about what he does. And we have another question here from Joseph Casadas. I know a lot of the meals, if not all of them, it's made from scratch stuff. So I can only imagine how great they taste. But his question is to you, what is your favorite Meals on Wheels meal?
Well, I used to always say a very generalized thing, it's got to be meatloaf and some sort of mashed potatoes, because how can you go wrong? But
delicious.
since having been here in San Antonio, it's the carne asada.
Oh my gosh.
The carne asada is to die for, but we also serve a chili bowl in this cornbread that is just, so those two are just neck and neck.
See, here's the problem. I didn't have breakfast, so I came over here on an empty stomach, and that's on me. But now that you're saying all this, I may have to go in and do some research, field research when I'm done here, just to see.
You should. It is amazing what we do back there.
So, CEO is your title. In layman's terms, a typical day for you, if there is such a thing, what does that mean? What do you do here?
I'm the cheerleader. I am. I get the opportunity to work with some of the best people in San Antonio.
Yeah. Not
Not only my coworkers, but people in the community like you, our volunteers who deliver, and the donors that I encounter. It's all eyes on everything, and that's one of the reasons I've done it so long, because I do get to get out there and see the clients and visit with them, and that's when it all comes home.
You mentioned that too, that the fundraising or the donor component, because obviously these things cost money, but I wonder if it makes it easier to fundraise in your case, because Meals on Wheels has been around forever. It's a household name.
It's it's not about me. It's not about this beautiful campus here. It's all about those folks at home that we are serving. And when someone sees the impact that we have, the good that we do, it really resonates.
Yeah.
And yes, we're saving taxpayers' dollars because we're keeping people out of the hospitals and nursing homes.
Good point.
But we're doing the right thing. And we have an approximately $16 million annual operating budget here. And over $5 million of that is coming from philanthropy.
Yeah.
Those are folks who are writing those individual checks.
And on the walls of the buildings, you'll recognize some of the Grehees and the other those names that are synonymous with giving, philanthropy here in San Antonio. Another question coming in: do you have a favorite story about delivering or specific client? And you talked about some of the centenarians, 100-plus-year-olds that are out there. Do you have a specific encounter or a story from over the years that really stuck with you?
Oh, I have several.
Yeah.
Way too many. I actually, stepped into a water meter one time.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh my gosh, it scared me so. I thought what happened? Well, stand up, Vinsen, and pull your leg out, and we went on delivering the meals. So no harm done. It was just quite a surprise. But seeing the individuals as they are and in their home, amazing. I have personally been on some that have been some emergency situations. A gentleman used to just bug me all the time, and his name was Mr. McElroy. Mr. McElroy was always say, "Stop serving me so many peas and carrots. Peas and carrots. Don't you know you're trying to kill me? And peas and carrots don't grow together in the garden. That's why I know you're trying to kill me." He was a character, and he was always just full of it, and he was great to encounter. And got there, and he was not himself. He was just very dull. He didn't hardly acknowledge that he had seen me before. And went to hand him the meal, and his hands were just as blue as could be. And at that point, we could smell the fumes of the gas. And so there was a gas leak in the house. We got him out of the house. Fire department was dispatched real quick. There was not an explosion. But had we not been there, things could have gone a whole lot worse, because he would have been in real trouble.
That's terrible. But you're right. We talk about it a lot, like when I was on the news, especially when it would get cold or the extreme weather, hot, cold, to always remember to check on seniors, or maybe it's your neighbor, because you just never know, what's happening.
And, you know, everyone likes to know that someone else is thinking about them.
Yeah.
And you may not know the neighbor's name, but you can certainly say, how you doing? And
just takes a minute. I was just looking here, talking about, you know, somebody mentioned, well, I don't have time to volunteer. How can I help? And it says here a $7 donation. So essentially, if you look at it that way, you know, you multiply $7 times however much, that will provide a meal for a client.
For a client.
Yeah.
That is creeping up. One of our things, living here in San Antonio, again, our cost of living is less than other parts of the country. Right. It's not the same meal, because I believe ours are the best in the country.
Of course they are.
A Meals on Wheels delivered on the other side of the states is averaging right now just over $20 a meal.
It's insane. I was going to ask you how you dealt with the rising food prices.
And it's been a challenge. A year and a half ago, I was telling you this meal cost just over $5. Now it's at $7, but it's holding. But it's an excellent meal. We feed all of our staff every day. They have the opportunity to eat this because we're our own best critics.
Yeah.
When we hit a home run, we tell those guys in the kitchen. When it's not up to our standards, we let them know too. But
again, reading up on this, I mean, if you go in there, it's a massive kitchen with, I mean, fantastic equipment, everything. You employ legitimate chefs.
Yes.
That, like I said earlier, prepare just about everything from scratch.
Yes. Dietitian who's planning all of these meals.
Yes, very important.
And so, but you know, if the food is not good, why would anybody eat it? If they're not eating it, why are we doing this? And so it has to be good. It has to be meaningful. And you know, the symbolism breaking bread together with someone. We can't all eat with them, but simply getting that meal to them and knowing that food is going to be taken and enjoyed.
If it wasn't good, I guarantee you word would spread very quickly on social media, or it would get out there. But those Meals on Wheels meals stink. Like, if that were the case. I know it's not, but because we haven't heard that means you must be doing something right.
Yes, I think I concur. I concur.
Are you here on the property pretty much all the time, or you like to get out and venture out?
You know, when people are looking for me and they can't find me here, it's like, oh my gosh, where is Vinsen? And when I am, you know, they find me here, it's like, why aren't you out in the community? I would love to be everywhere at all times. And
but you wear a lot of hats, as we said.
Wear a lot of hats, sir.
So geographically speaking, I mean, it's Meals on Wheels San Antonio, but how far, if you were to cast a net for the Meals on Wheels program here locally, how far out do you go?
We're serving in Bexar County and 8 additional counties around us here.
Yeah.
So
a lot of mouths to feed and everything.
As far away as Uvalde. So.
Yeah, and so getting back to the pandemic times, because I remember, I mean, I was on the air when all of this was happening, and just thinking about, man, how are some of these nonprofits and these organizations going to come back from this, and what will life be like after the pandemic? But you seem to be in a good place right now.
We're in a great place right now. We didn't know what we were doing. Overnight, we went from 52 pickup points around San Antonio and Bexar County where volunteers go get the meals to one location.
It's crazy.
We went from delivering daily hot meals to seeing people 2 times a week because we wanted to limit our touch with them.
Right.
We started hanging frozen meals, three meals at a time on a doorknob. And it's like, oh my gosh, we didn't know. The community recognized the work that we were doing, our volunteers were doing. They were very generous. We didn't know how we were going to pay for the incredible increase in meals we were serving. But people were good, and the community is like, we're there for you. And we're very blessed to live in this caring community, Ernie.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Arlington.
Arlington.
Long before Jerry Jones any of us had ever heard of.
So, but the Texas Rangers just won the World Series, so I guess I'm assuming you're happy about that.
I am thrilled about that.
Yeah.
Thrilled about that.
Yeah.
I did work at the old Arlington Stadium for a while in the early days.
Oh, the baseball field.
The old baseball field.
Before, not the one they're in now, Globe Life, not the one before that, the ballpark at Arlington. You're talking about
the old
2 parks before that.
Yes. What originally was Turnpike Stadium when it was the
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. No, Nolan Ryan did not pitch. I don't know if Nolan Ryan pitched in that old ballpark, but I've seen pictures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember and everything. So, and you're a Cowboys fan.
Who's not?
Well, Then we could get into another discussion on here about that right now. But what brought you to San Antonio?
Meals on Wheels.
Really?
I knew my predecessor for about 14 years.
Yeah.
And Sharon was having like a 2-year retirement farewell tour. And
Okay.
it started off as a joke, like, hey, you need my job, like, hey. And what we realized was our only son was no longer, he would not be moving back to Texas. He was very well established in North Carolina.
Okay.
We were no longer taking care of our parents.
Yeah.
And they had passed on, and it was a good time. And I thought, okay, yeah, maybe I should check into this.
Yeah.
And much to my wildest surprise, I was given a job offer, and I've never had so much fun in my life.
And the carne asada is better down here anyway.
Carne asada is better here anyway.
I love it. A few more minutes with Vinsen Faris here, the CEO of Meals on Wheels. Another question coming in. And Catherine brings up a great point, because it is the holidays. People want to help. Again, I know like my kids need service hours for school or whatever. Thanksgiving Day, or maybe you start a new tradition with the family that you come to Meals on Wheels for a little bit. How can people help out in these critical weeks coming up here, Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays?
Well, one of the things we said earlier, just tell people about the organization. If you know somebody who needs help, knows of someone who might have time to volunteer. I think our volunteer spots for Thanksgiving Day, I was told this morning, they are full or soon to be full as far as physically on site delivering meals. However, we have a lot of people that we like to call on that day too. Don't have to come here. We can get you a list, and all you're doing is calling people and saying, I'm Ernie, and I'm just here to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Which
you could literally do from the comfort of your home. So it's as simple as, you talk about how can I help? You can stay at your house. They'll give you a list of clients to call, and you're just literally giving them a Thanksgiving Day checkup.
Right. But I should say, we have these other services too that volunteers. Our Animals services are just amazing, and the furry friends. I mean, those are some of the most special pets you've ever seen in your life.
Wait, so you feed animals as well?
We feed animals as well,
goodness
and
gracious.
So our pet food deliveries are 1 day a month, and some of the. It's that much more of a touch that we can have with these folks that are homebound, but there's more to it than just feeding. We do all kinds of things working with them and their pets. That's huge. Our friendly visitor services is similar to what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
If you have time to volunteer, we have clients who like certain things. We can match people up. We have one lady who has been a baker who no longer can bake because of sight problems. We have a volunteer that goes in once a week, and they bake cookies together. I mean, it's things like that can make all the difference in the world. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities. People just reach out, and we can plug you in.
That's what I've been saying about this show, is what I love about it is it just gives you the opportunity, if you just have the information, if you just know that these things are available, and you do this all the time. This is not just a holiday thing. I mean, this is available all year round. If you just know, that way, no doubt you have somebody in your family, a grandparent or an elderly neighbor, somebody that could use this help, and maybe you just didn't realize these things were available. So I guess before we wind up here, looking ahead, if you could look into your Meals on Wheels crystal ball for 2024 and beyond, do you have specific goals that you want to attain, or plans for this beautiful facility, other things that you'd like to do in the coming months and years?
The biggest thing we're doing is getting back to daily hot meals throughout the community, because some of the areas we are not yet serving hot meals. That is huge. The other thing is to serve more people. There are people out there that could benefit by these Meals on Wheels services that don't know about us. And so we're going to be increasing services. Yeah. We need more volunteers to do it, so we're looking forward to more people coming out and helping us out there. And
maybe there are corporate partners out there that are trying to figure out, end of the year giving, and there's a wonderful opportunity to help out Meals on Wheels. And again, $7 for one meal, you do the math, and a nice check can help out a lot of people in a very short time. So it's just fascinating stuff. Again, I've learned things. We were neighbors on 410 and Babcock for a long time, and I'm still learning stuff about Meals on Wheels. But if for no other reason, just to come see this amazing facility here, find a way to volunteer or spend some time over here, because it really is amazing. And maybe they'll let you have a little carne asada when you come by.
If they're lucky.
If there's any left. That's the thing. If there's any left. Vincent, it's such a pleasure to visit with you today.
Ernie, this has been fun, sir.
I know that our friends have left here from Meals on Wheels, have left some links if you're interested in learning more about, I think they said if you want to see what his favorite meal is, links to register to volunteer, to get the services, to find out more information. It's all on there. And I wish you and everybody here just the happiest of holidays, and thank you for what you continue to do around the clock.
You're the best, sir.
Great stuff.
Thank
Okay.
you.
This has been another episode of Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm. Again, follow Meals on Wheels on all their social media platforms, and we'll be back very soon with another live episode right here. Have a great day.